Many parents start with what seems like a simple plan. Set clear phone rules for their teenagers. No phones during homework, phones off during dinner, phones stay out of the bedroom at night. On paper, these rules sound simple and reasonable. They are meant to protect sleep, support focus, and create more family connection. But in many homes, something unexpected happens. These simple rules slowly turn into the source of daily tension. Parents find themselves repeating the same reminders every evening. Put your phone away. It's time for bed. No phones at the table. Teens roll their eyes, delay, or argue. What started as a small boundary becomes one of the most stressful parts of the day. If this feels familiar in your home, it does not mean you are failing as a parent. It means you are facing a challenge almost every modern family is dealing with: how to guide teenagers in a world where phones are deeply woven into daily life. One reason phone rules turn into arguments is that parents and teenagers see the phone very differently. For many adults, the phone looks like entertainment. It feels similar to television or video games. From that perspective, limiting phone use seems like a normal and healthy boundary, no different from turning off the TV on a school night. For teenagers, the phone often feels like something else entirely: their social world. It's where group chats continue after school ends. It's where plans with friends take shape. It's where jokes, photos, and updates flow throughout the evening. When a parent says, "Put the phone away," the teen may hear something completely different. Leave the conversation while everyone else keeps talking. That difference in perception can create tension even before the rule is explained. Many parents recognize a familiar moment in phone conflicts. The teen says, "Wait, I just need to send one more message." To a parent, this can sound like stalling, bargaining, or testing the boundary. But something deeper is often happening inside that moment. Online conversations rarely feel finished. Your teen might be in the middle of replying to a friend or planning something in a group chat. When the phone is suddenly taken away, the brain experiences an unfinished communication loop. That unfinished feeling can create real anxiety or frustration. Understanding this doesn't mean allowing unlimited phone use, but it does help explain why sudden interruptions can trigger stronger reactions than parents expect. Your teen isn't always just arguing about a rule. Sometimes they are reacting to the discomfort of walking away from a conversation that feels undone. Recognizing this can help you respond with more empathy, even while keeping clear boundaries. Technology also affects the brain in powerful ways. Many apps are designed to keep people engaged for as long as possible. Notifications, short videos, and constantly updating feeds provide frequent bursts of stimulation. Each new message, like, or post can trigger a small reward response in the brain. For teenagers, this pattern is especially strong because the part of the brain responsible for self-control is still developing, while the reward system is very active. When a parent suddenly interrupts a scrolling session, the brain experiences an abrupt break in that stimulation cycle. The teen may feel irritated, restless, or oddly disappointed without fully understanding why. This reaction is not always about disrespect or attitude. Sometimes it is simply the brain reacting to an interrupted habit loop that has been reinforced over and over by design. Knowing this doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it helps parents separate the brain's reaction from the teen's character. Another major trigger for phone fights is sudden rule changes. Often, limits are introduced reactively. A parent notices their teen spending hours on the phone and decides the rule must change right now. Maybe last week phones were allowed in the bedroom, but after a rough night, suddenly, they are not. Even when the new rule is reasonable, an overnight change can feel unfair. Teens may push back not just against the rule itself, but against the feeling that their freedom was taken away without warning. It also helps to remember that adolescence is a time when young people are practicing independence. Pushing limits is part of how teens learn to manage their own choices and identity. When a rule feels imposed without their input, resistance can feel to them like defending their independence rather than simply breaking a rule. This does not mean removing boundaries. It means that involving teens in the conversation can turn limits into opportunities to learn responsibility instead of power struggles. One helpful shift parents can make is moving the conversation from control to cooperation. Instead of presenting phone rules as commands, start by explaining the goal behind the boundary. For example, many limits are connected to sleep. Late-night phone use can delay bedtime and make it harder to fall asleep, which affects mood, attention, and energy the next day. When teens understand that the goal is to protect their well-being, they may still dislike the rule, but they are more likely to respect it. The rule begins to feel less like punishment and more like guidance. Transitions are one of the biggest triggers for phone conflict. When a parent suddenly says, "Give me the phone right now," the interruption can feel abrupt and jarring. A simple strategy that often works better is using a transition buffer. For example, you might say, "In 10 minutes, it's time to put the phone away," followed by a reminder at 5 minutes. This gives your teen time to finish conversations, close apps, and mentally prepare to stop. That extra space can dramatically reduce the emotional intensity of the moment. Consistency also plays a powerful role. When rules change from night to night, teens naturally learn to test them. If phones are sometimes allowed at dinner and sometimes not, each meal becomes a new debate. Clear and predictable routines reduce this uncertainty. When everyone knows the pattern, the rule is no longer something to renegotiate every day. Arguments often fade as the habit becomes part of everyday life. One strategy that works well for many families is creating a shared charging station. Instead of repeatedly asking teens for their phones, the environment itself supports the rule. At a certain time each night, everyone places their phone in a charging area in the kitchen or hallway. When the routine becomes predictable, the conflict often becomes less personal. The rule is not about taking something away from the teen. It's about following a household habit that applies to everyone. It's also important to think about what replaces the phone. If a phone is taken away and nothing engaging fills that time, your teen will naturally focus on what they lost. Encouraging offline activities can shift attention to something more positive. Sports, music, drawing, building projects, reading, or cooking can all provide meaningful engagement. These activities can create a sense of progress, creativity, and satisfaction that a scrolling session rarely brings. Parents sometimes worry that limiting phone time will isolate their teens socially. That concern is understandable, especially when so much social life happens online. But the goal is not to cut teens off from their friends. The real goal is balance, helping them have both online connection and real-world experiences. When teens feel engaged in offline activities and relationships, the phone becomes just one part of their day instead of the center of it. Another powerful piece of this puzzle is how adults use their own phones. If parents constantly check their devices during dinner or conversations, teens may see phone rules as unfair or hypocritical. Modeling balanced technology use sends a strong, quiet message. When parents also put their phones away during family time, the boundary feels like a shared value rather than a rule aimed only at the teenager. You don't have to be perfect. Even small changes, like placing your phone down during meals, can make a big difference. Over time, phone boundaries can become opportunities to teach responsibility rather than simply enforce control. Some families choose to gradually increase trust as teens show healthy habits. If sleep, schoolwork, and mood remain stable, teens might earn more flexibility with their phone use. If things start to slip, the family revisits the agreement together. This approach treats phone use as a life skill to practice, not just a privilege to take away. As routines settle in, something important begins to shift. Instead of daily battles about the phone, the focus moves toward building healthier habits together. Parents become guides rather than enforcers. Teens feel respected rather than controlled. Parenting in the digital age requires patience and flexibility, and phones are likely to remain part of teenage life. But when boundaries are clear, routines are consistent. Adults model healthy behavior and conversations stay respectful. Phone rules stop feeling like constant fights. They become simple, steady habits that support a calmer home and a healthier relationship with technology for both teens and parents.